Sigmund Freud, Austrian psychoanalyst. Sigmund Freud, born May 6, 1856, Freiberg, Moravia, Austrian Empire, and then died on September 23, 1939, London, England. He was the Austrian neurologist and the founder of psychoanalysis. Freud may justly be called the most influential intellectual legislator of his age. His creation of psychoanalysis was at once a theory of the human psyche, a therapy for the relief of its ills, and an optic for the interpretation of culture and society. In 1873, Freud was graduated from the Sperl Gymnasium and, apparently inspired by a public reading of an essay by Goethe on nature, turned to medicine as a career. At the University of Vienna, he worked with one of the leading physiologists of his day, Ernst von Bruck, an exponent of the materialist, antivitalist science of Hermann von Helmholtz. In 1882, he entered the General Hospital in Vienna as a clinical assistant to train with the psychiatrist Theodor Meynert and the professor of internal medicine Hermann Nothnagel. In 1885, Freud was appointed lecturer in neuropathology, having concluded important research on the brain's medulla. Freud's belief in human bisexuality, his idea of erotogenic zones on the body, and perhaps even his imputation of sexuality to infants may well have been stimulated by their friendship. Theory of Sigmund Freud. Freud, still beholden to Charcot's hypnotic method, did not grasp the full implications of Breuer's experience until a decade later, when he developed the technique of free association. In part an extrapolation of the automatic writing promoted by the German Jewish writer Ludwig, born a century before, in part a result of his own clinical experience with other hysterics, this revolutionary method was announced in the work Freud published jointly with Breuer in 1895, Studies in Hysteria. By encouraging the patient to express any random thoughts that came associatively to mind, the technique aimed at uncovering hitherto unarticulated material from the realm of the psyche that Freud, following a long tradition, called the unconscious. Because of its incompatibility with conscious thoughts or conflicts with other unconscious ones, this material was normally hidden, forgotten, or unavailable to conscious reflection. Difficulty in freely associating, sudden silences, stuttering, or the like, suggested to Freud the importance of the material struggling to be expressed, as well as the power of what he called the patient's defenses against that expression. Such blockages Freud dubbed resistance, which had to be broken down in order to reveal hidden conflicts. Unlike Charcot and Breuer, Freud came to the conclusion, based on his clinical experience with female hysterics, that the most insistent source of resisted material was sexual in nature. And even more momentously, he linked the etiology of neurotic symptoms to the same struggle between a sexual feeling or urge and the psychic defenses against it. Being able to bring that conflict to consciousness through free association and then probing its implications was thus a crucial step. He reasoned on the road to relieving the symptom, which was best understood as an unwitting compromise formation between the wish and the defense. He used to interpret of dreams as a method of investigation. In 1904, Freud published The Psychopathology of Everyday Life, in which he explored such seemingly insignificant errors as slips of the tongue or pen, later colloquially called Freudian slips, misreadings, or forgetting of names. These errors Freud understood to have symptomatic and thus interpretable importance. But unlike dreams, they need not betray a repressed infantile wish, yet can arise from more immediate hostile, jealous, or egoistic causes. In 1905, Freud extended the scope of this analysis by examining jokes and their relation to the unconscious. Invoking the idea of joke work as a process comparable to dream work, he also acknowledged the double-sided quality of jokes, at once consciously contrived and unconsciously revealing. Seemingly innocent phenomena like puns or jests are as open to interpretation as more obviously tendentious, obscene, or hostile jokes. The explosive response often produced by successful humor, Freud contended, owes its power to the orgasmic release of unconscious impulses, aggressive as well as sexual. But insofar as jokes are more deliberate than dreams or slips, they draw on the rational dimension of the psyche that Freud was to call the ego as much as on what he was to call the ID. In 1905, Freud also published the work that first thrust him into the limelight as the alleged champion of a pansexualist understanding of the mind, Three Contributions to the Sexual Theory, later translated as 3 Essays on the Theory of Sexuality, revised and expanded in subsequent editions. The work established Freud as a pioneer in the serious study of sexology. Freud is very popular in explaining about unconsciousness, ID, ego, superego, sexual development stage, and the sexual behavior of a person. For further information, please see the additional video links in the description box. Let you watch the video and get more information. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting.